2015, Deputy Chief Bob Green and I met about establishing a human trafficking task force in the San Fernando Valley. I have made human trafficking a priority, and I was very lucky to find a willing partner in Chief Green and his team to be able to help in this effort. But none of us would have been nearly as successful without the tremendous contribution of community members who speak up, share tips, engage with my office and LAPD. Thank you very much, guys. The reason we developed this team is primarily because of the lives we are saving, but also because of the communities that we are restoring. Just last week, the Human Trafficking Task Force rescued a 15-year-old girl from a dangerous pimp right here in the San Fernando Valley. Because of their work, a 15-year-old girl is no longer being raped multiple times a day and has a chance of a normal life. And a dangerous, disgusting criminal is behind bars awaiting justice. When we established the Valley Human Trafficking Task Force, we implemented a comprehensive plan to address the sex trafficking and the crime in these neighborhoods, and we called it the 3 E's: education, enforcement, and engineering. We've had 2 previous press conferences announcing the first 2 E's: education and enforcement, and today we're excited to announce the results of the third. In November of 2015, we hit the ground running and started educating communities and residents about human trafficking. What it is, what it looks like, who's vulnerable, and how to protect our kids from these predators. As part of this education, we worked to help victims know about the resources that are available to them through rape services provided by Journey Out, CAS, and Strength United. In August of 2016, we stood here on Sepulveda Boulevard to share our enforcement successes. But today, it's about the third E, engineering. When we launched the task force, we started working with 2 CSUN professors, Dr. Henrik Minassians and Dr. Lopez. They looked at the crimes that took place here through a lens of environmental design and built environment. Dr. Minassians is here with us today, and he will share the details of the findings in the report. They spent 8 months in my district at all hours of the night to really study the issue and the possible fixes. They studied the crime patterns, the land use designs in this district with a deeper lens to answer the question of why are they attracted to this particular area in my district. I'd like to thank Dr. Minassians and his team for their incredible work that you've identified ways that we can make our neighborhood safer. So as soon as the study was done, I immediately got to work in finding the path forward to correct these conditions in my district. I'm pleased to report that I'm currently identified funding and I'm working on making sure that these improvements have already gotten started. In fact, the Department of Urban Forestry is right across the street on the corner of Valeria and Sepulveda to commence tree trimming, which is one of the identified locations in the study. As of today, we've identified approximately $785,000 to start the work. Some of the money is already is available to us, and you can see by the tree trimming across the street, they've already gone to work. We also started to install lights in some of the identified streets in the study. Earlier this month, light posts were installed on Cabello, Cohasset, and Runnymede Street. Other light districts are in the works, and the engineering and design will get started later this year. There are fewer larger projects that have also been identified in the study that I plan to take to the community to get more feedback and more input on how to proceed. But this report gives us a clear path and identifies where we need to focus our efforts. To some, tree trimming might just be a neighborhood beautification project, but to the people living in these neighborhoods, it also means that you don't have to find condoms outside of your driveway as you're taking your kids to school. And also, the 15-year-old girl who sometimes gets sold under one of these trees, with this tree trimming might actually be able to save her life. My job as a council member is to ensure to protect all children in all of our neighborhoods and keep them safe. We can never waste our way out of human trafficking, but we must be creative and persistent as we try to do our work. All of us using our city resources and departments to work together creates better neighborhoods for everyone involved, but it also helps us fight these serious crimes. I'm grateful to CSUN and LAPD for all of the work that they've done, Today, we make a commitment to my constituents that I will continue to improve what we have already started, and we will continue to make our neighborhoods safer for our families and uninviting pimps and johns to these neighborhoods. So let me be clear, for anyone that's watching us here today, I want to make it clear that our children are not for sale. These neighborhoods do not welcome you if this is the kind of activity you're going to engage in, and we're going to make sure to fight back for our neighborhoods. I want to welcome and thank my really good friend, a champion for women and families in my district, my good friend, Deputy Chief Green. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Martinez. Good morning. So I'm here today to do a number of things. Thank Councilwoman Martinez, and Dr. Minassians, Cal State Northridge, and then Lieutenant Mark Evans and his folks have done an unbelievable job really deterring prostitution. So for us to remove crime, we have the choice of removing individuals that committed, the suspects, the victims of that crime, or the locations it's committed. So the E that the Councilwoman talks about this morning about environmental change is something that has the potential to change crime patterns long term. When I put handcuffs on an individual, especially a John, that's short term. A pimp, that can be long term. That can be decades for somebody that's trafficking young women. However, for community safety long term, it's about environmental change. And I applaud Cal State Northridge for the tremendous work that they did in collecting data that proved the locations that we can change, and by prioritizing, we can change neighborhoods long term. So, thank you very much, Dr. Minassians and your staff. Councilman, thanks for the continued support, and Mark, thank you for all the hard work that your men and women have done to change this community and make it a safer community. Thank you.
Your full name, sir? Your full name.
Chief Bob Green, Deputy Chief Bob Green. I also want to welcome Lieutenant Mark Evans, who heads our San Fernando Valley Human Trafficking Task Force.
Good morning, I'm Lieutenant Mark Evans, and I'm the officer in charge of the Human Trafficking Task Force for the San Fernando Valley. And I'm grateful that I'm able to be here today and give a report on the partnerships that we've developed with community members and also Dr. Minassians from Cal State Northridge. This is a long-standing problem that's facing this area for decades, and we realize that there's not a silver bullet solution that we can use to solve this problem, and it takes partnerships. And I'm grateful that I've been able to be involved in this operation where we have the partnerships that we've never seen before, or I've never seen before in 22 years on the department. So I'm grateful to be able to work with Dr. Minassians, some of the community members that are here today, and there's also community members in the background that we've worked exclusively with. In this area, the reason this area is such a focus is between Sherman Way and Cohasset Street, just 2 streets north of us. We've rescued about 5 juveniles who have been trafficked right in this short area. The most one that stands out in my mind is a 15-year-old girl who was rescued on Cohasset Street, who was held by 2 adults and violent pimp, and he's being held accountable for those actions right now. And also, I want to send some thanks out to those who are actually assigned to work the task force. They work undercover, so they're not really up here to be seen, but their work is immense and it's great, and the partnerships we've established, I think, will go a long ways to helping solve this problem in the long term. Thank you.
And now to discuss the findings of the report is Cal State Northridge Dr. Henrik Minassians.
Good morning. Henrik Minassians, spell it, M-I-N-A-S-S-I-A-N-S. My colleague, Dr. Lopez, could not be here, but we are very excited to be here and share our findings. I would like to first of all thank Councilwoman Nury Martinez and Deputy Chief Green and Lieutenant Mark Evans and the community members. Christopher Villa is here today, standing there, and many other community members that they helped us for collecting this data. So as Councilwoman Martinez said, we spend approximately 7 to 9 months at nighttime walking the streets with the help of the community members and students, and looking specifically how this built environment is being utilized by prostitutes, by johns, and by pimps, and coming up with specific recommendations such as street trimming, adding more street lights, and more basic strategies that Councilwoman Martinez is looking for funds in order to implement, such as changing the street directions, adding center dividers, and etc., etc. We have been, it's been an honor for us and the university to work with the community and actually doing something that we can help people in the community. And again, this project was not possible without the help of the community members walking the streets with us and collecting data in order for us to be able to cover such a large area. Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about the data?
Sure. So what we did, we looked at both sides of the so-called track, which is the Sepulveda. We looked at east and west, and obviously 405 is a challenge because it's kind of blocks and creates a small district that allows this type of activities. There are businesses, there are schools, churches that at nighttime they are not utilized. Their parking lots are dark, left empty. They are not gated, and many johns and prostitutes they use those facilities. So what we did, we end up like following the prostitutes and johns and finding out exactly where they went. And then based on that, we came up with specific recommendations such as adding fences, chain links, or what spots exactly they use within the community in order to engage in that type of activities. And we found out that they are looking for places that they are not visible, thus the street trimming that is being done today. So they go inside of the community. There are streets that there aren't enough lights. One of the recommendations is to add 35 to 40 lights that Councilwoman Martinez is going to look for funding for that purpose. And so we looked at that type of information in order for us to decide what strategy we have to take in order to improve the built environment. The key element is this, that streets are not just static places. There are places that they generate activities not only for the community, but they can generate activities for criminals as well, and they become attractors to criminals. And we are trying to change that environment to kind of push them out and discourage them from using this environment and coming to this place. So with the help of re-engineering the environment and the funding that Councilwoman Martinez is coming up, and LMPD, Chief Green, and Lieutenant Evans, I think that we are it is possible for us to have an impact by changing this type of activities in this part of the world. Thank you.
There's a number of community members that choose not to stay anonymous for their own safety, but I do want to commend and thank Suli and Cindy for being here. They're a tremendous asset to our office and to the task force in terms of the information that they help provide for us. So I really appreciate you here. Brave women, braving the code, but also helping us find solutions and identifying the johns and the pins that come into these neighborhoods. So I want to sincerely thank you for your efforts. Thank you very much. Now we're going to a press conference. Yes.
Could you describe the prevalence of the prostitution in the area?
I can't hear you. Say that again.
Could you describe for us the prevalence of the prostitution in this area?
The prevalence of the prostitution has been here for over 3 decades. It's nothing new. Since I grew up here my entire life, and we've always known that there has been prostitution activity on this track. It's the busiest track, I want to say, in the entire city of Los Angeles. So this is nothing new. It's nothing new to the people who live here, and it's certainly nothing new for a lot of us who grew up here. The difference is, I will tell you, is over the last couple of years, the age of the women who they traffic on this corridor has gotten younger and younger and younger. And that, to me, is what is so devastating about this. If there is a woman who has made a decision that this is a lifestyle she wants to lead, then there's something to be said about that. But when you're 12 years old, when you are 12 years old and you are being trafficked by grown men who are most likely gang members and are profiting from a 12-year-old being trafficked in these neighborhoods, that's just simply not okay. Not here, not anywhere in our country, not anywhere in the world. A 12-year-old girl does not make up her own mind to say, I want to lead the life of prostitution at 12 years old. That does not happen. That young girl has been raped, has been molested, does not have anybody to turn to, and is being forced in a lifestyle of prostitution. That's the difference that I've seen since I've been elected, is that the age of these girls has gotten younger and younger and younger. A lot of these kids come out of the foster care system, so they have been passed around numerous times. There isn't an adult that's either going to guide them or help them get out of this lifestyle. So these are all of our children, and there's a misconception that these kids are coming from out of other parts of the country, other parts of the world. These girls are American girls. They're coming from out of state, and they're being trafficked through California, Nevada, Seattle, and Oregon. That's how it works. And they're American kids. They're our kids. And simply, we need to say, our kids are not for sale. And unfortunately, we need to teach adults that it's not okay and it's illegal to have sex with minors. What's helped is a coordinated effort, and this has not been a priority for the city. I'm going to be very honest. It just has not been a priority for the city. We've known this problem has existed here. I have two major corridors in my district with a prostitution issue, Sepulveda Boulevard and Lankershim. It just has not been a priority for past elected officials. It's something people don't want to talk about. It's the dirty little secret of the San Fernando Valley, but it's here. It's not a secret. People who live here live with it every single day. So it just hasn't been a priority. What's helped is a task force, is that we have a hotline where people can anonymously provide us information with the details of a car, the license plate number, the individual who they see in and out of these neighborhoods, the young girl that they've seen day in and day out standing on Valerio and Sepulveda. These types of tips have helped us, and they can attest to that based on the number of arrests that we've made it based on the number of pimps that we've arrested and they're awaiting trial. That's probably the most difficult part about the job that the men and women of LAPD have to do, is being able to build a case against the pimp. The number of arrests that we've made on with pimps is, we're at 19 officers. Are they, how many pimps have we arrested? 22 pimps over this year alone. Just being able to make that type of arrest and build a case against a pimp and put him away, it's very, very difficult. So that, in and of itself, the hotline, the built environment, why is it that this neighborhood attracts the type of activity is what we're trying to address. Cameras, we're trying to work with local businesses along this corridor to help us do their own surveillance so that we're able to get that information or that videotape to make the case against the pimp, especially if we know who it is or we have a suspicion of who it is. All these things help us, and we've seen a tremendous effort because we're now coordinated. We just need to be diligent about making sure that this funding doesn't go away and that we support the task force and that we're listening to the community as they're giving us the information. Do you want to say something?
So two things. The environmental change aspect is not just a responsibility of government. Every person living in these neighborhoods is responsible for the safety of these neighborhoods. And so as you talk about cameras are a very, very valuable tool for law enforcement to prosecute people and identify who they are and to hold them accountable. A lot of crime has to do, so these environmental changes just won't impact prostitution. They'll impact burglary, theft from motor vehicle. They'll impact cars being stolen in this area because it has to do with line of sight. People feel like they can hide in the shadows to engage in prostitution or break into your car or steal your car. They're going to do it. So our role in law enforcement is to arrest pimps and move toward prosecution to get them significant sentences, to keep them off the street for decades. because these are violent gang members overall that commit these types of crimes and force these women into prostitution, these girls into prostitution. So we're committed to our part. I asked the neighborhoods, if we want safe neighborhoods overall, we have to act together to do that. And as cheap as cameras are now, I'd ask every apartment manager, owner, install cameras. Look at the own lighting on your buildings. Look at motion detectors. Look at having your shrubs trimmed back so people can't hide out in the shadows. And that will have a dramatic impact on the safety of our neighborhoods. So us together with these partnerships, we can lower crime in these neighborhoods with minimal funding to do it. If we do it on our own and together.
We're talking about funding that you're together. There's no funding from there. People feel that there's going to be retaliation. They may not come forward where they have to they won't take it involved. But the city has it. We're not questioning it. We have funding. Is that a funding?
So, let me address that. We are solving crimes day after day, homicides based on videotape coming from residences. And the videotape is the hard evidence. I don't need a witness. I can identify where that camera came from. We have had no retaliations based on camera videotape. It is the hard evidence that puts that person at that place at that time. And so it's much better, and sometimes than having a witness that has to come forward. So videotape is a tremendous asset to us in the arrest and prosecution of criminals.
You take away their hiding spots, obviously criminals and behavioral adapt. What's the next step in monitoring hotels and club houses and inside?
So part of the task force is working with our neighborhood prosecutors and city attorneys to hold motels and hotels accountable when they engage, knowingly let their business engage in prostitution. So that's all part of the task force, and we're working at a number of different locations now with our neighborhood prosecutors to gather the evidence we need to either civilly or criminally go after those businesses.
So I'm glad you asked the question about the motels, because that's the current issue on the corridor. So there's currently 2 motels that are under investigation, and then there's 2 more that were a problem, but now they're being put out of business, and something different is going to come into that location. One of them is the Voyager Motel, which is right up the street on Victory and Sepulveda. That burned down a couple of years ago, but I believe there's now a new owner, and there's going to be a different project there. It's not going to be a motel. And the second one was the Ridge Motel, which is right down the street. When I first got elected, both motels tend to be wanting me to ease up some of the conditions that were put on them by the city several years ago. And in fact, I did the opposite. I added additional conditions to both motels, which basically ran them out of business. So now these 2 motels will now be operating as motels. There's a new development coming in. That's what we want to see. And there's currently a number of other ones that are currently under investigation in the city attorney's office. Similar, they've attracted this type of activity. They've been under surveillance, so we have hard evidence that proves our case, and so we need to make sure that it goes through they have due process as well, so we need to make sure it goes through the legal process before we can shut them down. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you.